So how do you get from student to professional? How do you make this transition? In this video, I'm gonna walk you through a simple strategic framework to make sure that you get from diploma to the start of your dream career. Hi friends, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jillian Kinsey. I am a certified professional resume writer and the founder of Red Pen Wench. So I've broken the process down into 3 phases. Phase 1 is develop, which is where you will create your marketing materials. Phase 2 is apply, which is where you will start to track down those opportunities and make sure that your application is actually being considered. And phase 3 is interview, which is often the most important part, but a lot of people are the least prepared for it. Finally, you might be noticing phase 0 over here, which is unlabeled. We'll get to that in a bit. The rest of these are linear. This one's a bit special. We'll talk about that soon. But first, let's jump into phase 1. Before you get to the resume, the LinkedIn, and the supporting documents, you'll see this big old bubble right here called strategy. Say you're trying to drive from New York to LA. You wouldn't just start driving, right? You need to know where you're going and how you're gonna get there. So before you think about your resume or your LinkedIn or your cover letter, you need to have a sense of where you wanna go. What industry are you targeting? What kinds of jobs do you want to land? Specifically the titles that you're pursuing. Take a look on Indeed or LinkedIn or any of the job boards and do some research. Find some positions that really speak to you. Then you'll start to think about some of your key selling points, right? What about your education, your experience so far, and your skill set sets you apart from the competition and makes you a qualified candidate? Once you have a sense of all of that, then you're ready to start writing. So you'll think about your marketing materials as your pitch package. They need to work together to showcase your value and to build your brand. No matter where we are in the job market, so much of it is virtual, your resume is still your cornerstone. It's still the document that the majority of employers and recruiters will want to see first. Let's talk about the point of it. A mediocre resume is just a list of facts. A strong resume turns those facts into a story about how and why you are a qualified candidate for the job that you are seeking. A great place to start, obviously you have your name and your contact information, is a summary. This is not, I want a job in marketing. They know that, you're applying for the job. A summary is essentially your 30-second pitch. It's a snapshot of why you are a fit and why they should consider you. Next is gonna come your education section. Later on in your career, this will fall below your experience section. But for right now, this is what's most important. So alongside your degree and your graduation year, you're gonna also mention a strong GPA if you have one. If you made the dean's list, include that. It's a great place to note any relevant coursework. This is also kind of a nice way to sneak in some relevant keywords and phrases to show employers that you have had some experience, that this is what you have spent your time studying and learning and practicing. It doesn't just have to be the jobs that you earned money for. It doesn't just have to be summer jobs and babysitting gigs. It can be so much more than that. I actually made a video all about how to make sure that your bullet points are strategic and targeted. I'll put a link down below in the video notes. That's a great place to start when you are writing and in that phase. Now, one final thing to remember when crafting your resume is your design. Often you want it to look as incredible as possible. You want it to have flair. And Canva has a lot of amazing, beautiful templates, but you need to consider application tracking systems. When you apply online, these systems are looking for specific keywords and phrases to determine whether or not you're a fit. So when you go to choose a template or design a template, be intentional here, be specific, make sure that it is readable. We actually have a whole suite of tools called the Job Seeker's Treasure Chest that has 3 different ATS-friendly resume and cover letter templates. It also has a LinkedIn optimization checklist, a resume and cover letter writing guide, tons of examples of resumes and cover letters that we've crafted for our clients. So if you're interested, check it out. It's something that's great, especially for a first-time job seeker. If you are going to build your own design, just make sure that it's ATS friendly. The last thing you want is for your formatting to disqualify you, so give that a little TLC. No, I don't want no stress. All right, we're moving on to your LinkedIn profile. So you want to make sure that your resume and your LinkedIn are telling the same story. Now, what's the point of LinkedIn? It's your digital presence. It's often the first place an employer will go if they're interested in learning more about you. If you're using LinkedIn to search for jobs and apply for jobs, that might be the first stop. So you want to make sure that your profile is as comprehensive as possible. A lot of people just throw their name and their education on there and an old picture from freshman year and just don't think about it. But if an employer is going to search for you on there, we want them to be impressed with what they find. We want them to continue to want to learn more about you and call you in for the interview. So when you're thinking about LinkedIn, there's something called all-star status that you are aiming for. This is essentially filling out the 9 key sections on your profile. And this is important because LinkedIn claims that if you achieve all-star status, you are 40 times more likely to be found in recruiter searches and in employers that are looking for candidates for a specific job. This is great. We want you to be found. So aim for all-star status. Now, as you are fleshing out your profile, once you get it to a point where it feels complete, now it's time to start actually using the platform. This is the exciting part. Start connecting with everybody. Professors, with people that you met on an internship or volunteer experience, family, friends, people from high school. Build your network. LinkedIn wants you to have about 50 connections. Aim for more. Aim for 500. Why not? This is important, especially as you start to look for a job. But a network is only helpful if you're actively engaging with it. If you want to be noticed on LinkedIn, you have to notice other people. Notice what companies are saying and doing. Read blogs and articles and engage with them. What are your connections saying? Celebrate milestones with people. Celebrate when someone else gets a job because it puts you top of mind. And it also increases your visibility on the platform. LinkedIn's algorithm notices if you have a complete profile, if you're engaging with your network, and if you have specific relevant keywords and phrases that are relevant to your industry in particular. It's just like with YouTube. When you like a video or subscribe to a channel, it expands that reach. So if you're enjoying this video, help us out. The next thing I want to talk about is the recommendations section of LinkedIn. This is something that so many people are not using, and it is one of the most valuable parts of the platform. You can ask someone in your network for a review or a recommendation that will then live on your profile. So when someone is looking to find more about you, they'll be able to read what other people are saying. This is just like when you're looking to find a restaurant and you read a bunch of reviews on Yelp or Google. What other people say is so much more important to you than what that restaurant says about itself. Same goes for you. If you can reach out to a former manager or boss or someone that you worked alongside at a volunteer organization or activity, anyone that can speak to who you are as a professional, that will make all the difference. That will make you look so good. Now I want to talk about something that is causing some controversy on LinkedIn these days. There's a feature called Open to Work. If you're not familiar, this is a setting on LinkedIn that allows you to select titles that you're seeking and whether you want an in-person, remote, or hybrid job, a specific location you're targeting. And this is an awesome feature. It's powerful. It can open you up to being found, which is ideal. However, there are two sides of this debate here. There are two ways to use this feature. The first is publicly. You can tell your whole network that you are searching for a job. That's what adds that green banner around your profile picture. Or the other option is to only show this to recruiters and employers. So the fact that you're using this feature is private and only people that are hiring will see it. We tend to recommend the private setting. When someone just lands on your profile, we don't want their first impression to be, oh, they're out of work. However, there is an argument that someone in your network might see that green bubble and might be hiring or know someone that's hiring. Maybe it's a family friend or someone from high school. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know what you think. Is it cool? Is it cringy? What do we think about the green banner? The final part of your package here are any extras. Depending on your field, you might have a website or a portfolio. These are great things to add to the featured section on LinkedIn to allow people to continue to learn more about you. It's also a great time to start crafting a generic cover letter. That's something that we'll be customizing in the application phase, so more on that in a bit. Quick tip here, if you're able to get some recommendations for your LinkedIn profile, you can use little snippets of those in your cover letter to continue to sell you further. Now, before we close out this development phase, I want to address this question that so many entry-level professionals have, and that's, what if I don't have enough to say? That is where phase 0 comes into play. So as you saw before, all these other phases are linear. Phase 0 is not. Phase 0 is something that you've been doing your entire life, and it's something that you should continue to do throughout your career. Grow. You don't stop growing when you get this and start growing again when you land the job. So much can happen right now in this phase where you are seeking a job. If you feel like, I don't know what to say on my resume, or it's still feeling kind of sparse, or you feel like you're in an oversaturated market and it's competitive and you're not getting enough attention with your job applications, this is where you can go out into the world and create moments to continue to learn and grow for yourself. But I'll give you some more concrete ideas and examples about phase 0 in phase 2 and in phase 3. We've reached the apply phase, but you'll notice that there are a few steps before you actually click submit. The first place to start is to search around on job boards, LinkedIn, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Glassdoor, Monsters. Start researching, see what's out there, see what interests you. But the next thing to do is not just click and submit. We want to be a little creative here because it's a competitive job market. You're just starting out and everybody is just doing click and submit. So you have to do a little bit more if you want to stand out. Squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So take advantage of your network. Ask professors for advice. Ask for referrals, for recommendations, for people to connect you with other people at companies that you want to work for. If you recently graduated, a lot of universities have awesome alumni relations programs. Check these out, use these resources, and use the people that you know. Ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. That's what's going to make such a difference here. While you're being a little creative with how you're connecting with opportunities, be a little creative with how you customize your materials. That's the next step here. You don't want to just send the same resume out to 50 places. That's not going to serve you. We talked a little bit about application tracking systems. These systems are looking for keywords, key phrases, and if you take 5 to 10 minutes to customize your resume, specifically your summary or your skills or expertise section, that will go a long way. If you want to save some time, you can copy and paste a job description right into ChatGPT and ask, what keywords does my resume need for this job? That's such a great resource. You can also use ChatGPT to ask, what attributes does the ideal person have for this job? And that's a great way to start to get a sense of, how do you describe yourself in your cover letter for that position? Start to draw connections between what that job is looking for, what kind of person they're targeting, and how does that relate to you? How does that relate to you not only as a professional, but as a human being? Now, this is where that phase 0 mindset comes into play. If you're looking at a job description and it's asking for a certain kind of experience that you just don't have yet, here's an idea. Get a sense of who's in your community. Ask your professors if they know anyone in that field that they can connect you to, or reach out to someone on LinkedIn and ask them if you can buy them a coffee and pick their brain for 30 minutes and learn more about what they do. If you want to take it a step further, you can ask them, hey, can I shadow you for a week, for a few days? It doesn't need to be this extensive 6-month-long internship to be something that you add to your experience section. These are the ways that you can continue to grow in a way that will really benefit your job application. You've reached the interview phase. It's worth celebrating, but you must prepare. This is the part that so many professionals ignore and they show up and it's a mess. So don't let this be you. Okay, I've separated this out into 3 P's: prepare, practice, polish. The first one is prepare. This is essentially immersion in the company that you're interviewing with, right? Get a sense of their company culture, their philosophy, their mission, their core values. Research, read whatever you can, watch videos if they have a YouTube video, check out their social media. Really go into that interview as informed as possible. And if you're able to learn who's interviewing you in advance, if you can find them on LinkedIn, learn what you can about that individual. Get a sense of their career trajectory. Maybe you have specific questions you'd be curious to ask them. Show that you took time to prepare for this, you care about this, you value their time. All of this is going to set you up with more confidence. So this leads you into the practice phase. Don't let your interview be the first time that you're saying any of this out loud. It's a little scary to sit across from someone either in a room or in a Zoom room, and it can feel like the Inquisition. You'll be a little nervous. Give yourself the grace to be nervous, but also rehearse. Find a friend, a family member, someone that's willing to sit down with you and talk to you and let you answer some of these questions and get some feedback. Ask them, hey, are you noticing any nervous habits? Am I saying am I repeating myself? Am I saying am I not making eye contact? If you are interested, our Job Seekers Treasure Chest has a comprehensive interview preparation guide. It also has 25 of the most common interview questions. That's something that might be helpful to run through with a friend or a family member, so check that out. Now, the final portion of this phase is polish. It's the finishing touches, right? It's taking time to figure out, how are you presenting yourself? What are you wearing? What does your Zoom background look like? Are you well lit? Do you have a messy dorm room behind you? Is your sound working? Make sure that you have all of that in place so that you can present your best self. These 3 Ps, they'll help you be present in the interview, be confident, and that's going to make all the difference here. Best of luck with this process. You've got this. I'm rooting for you. Go get 'em.